Have you ever wondered why they just can never broker a peace deal in the Middle East? I'm going to tell you. No, I'm going to let the words of Muhammad, the founder of Islam, explain to you why there will never be peace in the Middle East. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Welcome to today's program, friend. When President Trump was elected, he said if Jared, his son-in-law, can't broker a peace deal in the Middle East, then no one can. And I felt sad for Jared because he can't. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. And there's a reason why. And I'm going to show you right now, using only the words of Muhammad and his most devout followers.
The apostles said,
"Kill any Jew that falls into your power."
Our attacks upon God's enemy cast terror among the Jews, and there was no Jew in Medina that did not fear for his life.
The last hour would not come unless the Muslims will fight against the Jews, and the Muslims would kill them until the Jews would hide themselves behind a stone or a tree, and the stone or a tree would say, "Muslim, or the servant of Allah, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him."
Never again, say the Jews. Never again will they allow themselves to be herded to concentration camps, slaughtered without the ability to defend their families and their homes. Never again. Most of the world agrees and has stood behind Israel's right to defend itself as a nation and the Jewish people's right to self-defense. Western nations, from America to Germany, have forcefully condemned any strain of anti-Semitic bigotry that shows its ugly head inside their nations. But from Muslim terrorists, and sadly, from certain Muslim nations, a very different message is heard. The shrill call for the death or enslavement of the Jews, and even the annihilation of the state of Israel. Iranian Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, after negotiating a nuclear deal that could be fatal to millions of Jews, said these words:
"God willing, there will be no Zionist regime in 25 years. Second, during this period, the spirit of fighting, heroism, and jihad will keep you worried every moment."
At the time of the Paris terrorist attacks in 2015, ISIS released a video threatening a massive slaughter of Jews. They said,
"This is a serious and clear announcement to all the Jews, the first enemy of the Muslims."
the first enemy of the Muslims. What about the Meccans, you might ask? Well, the Meccan people, who had originally resisted Muhammad's message, ultimately converted to Islam after Muhammad's army invaded and captured Mecca. Their conversion was with a sword at their throat, but it still counted for Muhammad. But the Jews in Arabia would not convert. In spite of Muhammad's preaching, his negotiations, and then armed conflict with multiple Jewish settlements in Arabia, they steadfastly refused to accept him as a prophet or convert to Islam. When ISIS calls Jews the first enemy of the Muslims, it shows they are living out the storyline of Muhammad's hatred of the Jews from his day. When Muhammad emigrated to Medina, he found large and wealthy Jewish tribes steeped in history and theology regarding Noah, Abraham, Moses, and other Old Testament prophets. Like the Jews, Muhammad prayed toward Jerusalem. He told his followers in chapter 5, verse 5 of the Quran, that it is lawful for Muslims to eat the food that the Jews eat. He observed one of their fasts. Shortly after he settled in Medina, he told the Jews that he was a prophet in the line of Moses, that he was their prophet. The Jews considered this absurd. He was an Arab. At points, they ridiculed him, pointing out his incorrect retellings of Old Testament stories. He was illiterate. There were inconsistencies and alterations with his supposed revelations in the Quran. They were never going to confess that he was the messenger of God to them. This angered Muhammad greatly, and frankly, it troubled him. He was no match for their scholars and their knowledge of theology and Old Testament history. And worse yet for Muhammad, their insolence and their knowledge might undermine his credibility with his followers. His conflict with the Jews began in earnest after the Battle of Badr. He gathered the Jewish tribe of Banu Kainuka in the market of Medina and warned them to accept him as their prophet.
Beware lest God bring on you the like of the retribution which he brought on the Meccans, Quraysh. Accept Islam, for you know that I am a prophet sent by God. You will find this in your scriptures and in God's covenant with you.
They scoffed, accusing him of being deluded.
Muhammad, do you think that we are like your people? Do not be deluded by the fact that you met a people with no knowledge of war, and that you made good use of your opportunity. By God, if you fight us, you will know that we are real men.
Today, many so-called Christian intellectuals believe that the God of evolution used billions of years of death and destruction to evolve the bodies of the first human beings. Then, they simply declare the theory of evolution as fact to justify their unproven scientific fallacies. By the grace of God, more and more Catholics are rejecting this modern-day mythology in favor of the traditional doctrine of creation as recorded by the Bible and believed and taught by all the fathers and doctors of the Church. To find out how sound theology and natural science confirm the sacred history of Genesis, visit the Colby Center for the Study of Creation, and be sure to check out our bookstore, which has titles like I Have Spoken to You from Heaven, A Catholic Defense of Creation in 6 Days, and A Catholic Assessment of Evolutionary Theory. That's the Colby Center for the Study of Creation. As far as the Jews were concerned, there was nothing supernatural about Muhammad's victory at Badr. It was certainly not a sign from God that he was a prophet in the line of Noah and Abraham and Moses. Muhammad had simply won a desert battle. Muhammad would not tolerate Jews undermining his claim that his victory at Badr was a miracle. Al-Tabari records,
Gabriel brought down the following verse to the messenger of God.
And if thou fearest treachery from any folk, then throw back to them their treachery fairly.
When Gabriel had finished delivering the verse, the messenger of God said,
I fear Banu Qaynuqa.
It was on the basis of this verse that the messenger of God advanced upon them.
Muhammad said he feared the Jews, not because they were out to kill him, but because they would not accept Badr as a sign from God, and because they undermined his story, and also because they said he was deluded. This enraged him more and more as the months progressed. He wanted them dead for their insolence. He gathered his armed men and laid siege to their homes and their neighborhoods. After 15 days, the Jews surrendered.
They were fettered and he wanted to kill them.
One of Muhammad's recent converts, named Abdullah, grabbed Muhammad's shoulder and kept urging Muhammad to spare the Jews.
Treat my friends well.
The chained Jews and the Muslim crowd fixed their eyes on Muhammad.
Muhammad's face was black with rage.
Confound you. Let me go.
The man replied, "No, by God, I will not let you go until you treat my friends well. 400 men without armor and 300 with coats of mail, who defended me from the Arab and the non-Arab alike. And you would mow them down in a single morning?" So the messenger of God said,
They are yours. Let them go. May God curse them, and may He curse Abdullah with them.
These Jews escaped with their lives, but they were not free to return to their homes and businesses.
Then the messenger gave orders to expel them, and God gave their property as booty to his messengers and the Muslims. The Banu Qaynuqa did not have any land, as they were goldsmiths. The messenger of God took many weapons belonging to them and the tools of their trade.
They were driven out of Medina. Most of them fled to Syria. Muhammad and some of his followers became wealthy with the spoils of this confrontation. Muhammad said he then got a new revelation from Allah.
O you who believe, do not take the Jews and Christians for friends. They are friends of each other, and whoever amongst you takes them for a friend, then surely he is one of them. Surely Allah does not guide the unjust people.
A year after the Jews of Banu Qaynuqa were expelled, Muhammad set his sights on another large and wealthy Jewish clan from Medina, the clan of al-Nadir. It was during this time that Muhammad ordered the murder of the Jewish poet Ka'b, who had insulted him in poetry after the victory of Badr. He was from the clan of al-Nadir. His murder had the desired effect.
The attack upon God's enemy cast terror among the Jews, and there was no Jew in Medina who did not fear for his life.
Muslim historians differ as to the cause of the conflict with the Jews of al-Nadir. To complicate matters, Muhammad said that God showed him that a small group of those Jews was trying to kill him. So on that pretext, Muhammad ordered all the Jews of al-Nadir,
Leave my country and do not live with me. You have intended treachery.
The Jews refused. They had been there for generations. Muhammad was the new man in town, but Muhammad was determined that they be removed or killed. So he and his men laid siege yet again to another Jewish neighborhood in Medina. After 15 days, Muhammad gave the terms. They could leave Medina with 1 camel for every 3rd person. They could take whatever they could carry on those camels, except their weapons and their armor. They would not be allowed to defend themselves in the future. Hundreds of Jews departed from Medina to save their lives because they would not accept Muhammad as a prophet. Some of them went to Syria. Some of them went to the city of Khaybar, a Jewish settlement over 100 miles away. They would not be safe there for long. Have Muslim terrorists hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam? Or is there more to the story? The answer lies in the life of one man, Muhammad, the founder of Islam. Muslim terrorists see themselves inside a 1,400-year-old story, a narrative that focuses on specific events in the life of Muhammad. We are going to look at Muhammad's life using their most sacred literature. We will look at Muhammad at the Battle of Badr. We'll see him deal with those who mock him. We'll see the times when he used deception. We'll witness Muhammad's anti-Semitism. And yes, we will discuss Muhammad and his teachings concerning sex, slavery, and jihad. Friend, if you want to understand Islamic terrorism, get this series today. The purging of the Jews from Medina continued. 1 year later, Muhammad was returning from a standoff with the Meccans known as the Battle of the Trench, in which no major fighting occurred. He said that the angel Gabriel stopped him.
Have you laid down your arms, messenger of God?
Yes, he replied.
The angels have not laid down their arms. God commands you, Muhammad, to go to Banu Qurayza. I am about to go to them to shake their strongholds.
The Banu Qurayza was another Jewish clan. Muhammad told his men,
That was Gabriel who has been sent to Banu Qurayza to shake their castle and strike terror to their hearts.
Muhammad said he was attacking them because a handful of those Jews had conspired to help the Meccans at the Battle of the Trench. However, no help ever occurred, and the vast majority of the Jews knew nothing about it. But Muhammad had found out and was determined to punish them.
The apostle besieged them for 25 nights until they were sore pressed, and God cast terror into their hearts.
Rather than fight, the Jews decided to submit to Muhammad's terms. They knew that the Jewish clans of Kainuka and Al-Nadir were allowed to depart with their lives and whatever they could carry. They thought the same would be for them, but it was not to be for the Banu Qurayza. Rather than issue a judgment himself, Muhammad handpicked a judge from Medina, Sa'd bin Mu'adh. On the day of the Battle of Badr, Sa'd told Muhammad,
O Prophet of God, extensive killing is dearer to me than sparing men's lives.
Muhammad and Sa'd wanted the Jews dead. With no Jews present, Sa'd issued his judgment.
I pass judgment that the men shall be killed, the property divided, and the women and children taken as captives.
Many of the Muslims were shocked. Muhammad immediately affirmed Sa'd's genocidal verdict.
You have passed judgment on them with the judgment of God and the judgment of his messenger.
Because the Jews were not present for the decision, they did not know what awaited them. They came out of their homes peacefully. Muhammad confined them in a quarter of Medina and brought them out in batches and ordered that every male who had reached puberty should be killed. A young boy recounted later.
I was among the captives of Banu Qurayza. They examined us, and those who had begun to grow pubic hair were killed, and those who had not were not killed. I was among those who had not grown pubic hair.
Then the apostle went out to the market of Medina and dug trenches in it. Then he sent for them and struck off their heads in those trenches as they were brought out to him in batches. There were 600 or 700 in all, though some put the figure as high as 800 or 900. This went on until the apostle made an end of them.
Muhammad was not a disinterested bystander. The apostle dug the ditches. He sent for them in batches and struck off their heads. The apostle made an end of them. He was not a general who had lost control of his troops. He was far too powerful for that. He had declared, "You have judged them with God's judgment and the judgment of his messenger." This horrific scene, Muhammad's men stripping boys to search for pubic hair, Muhammad then forcing all the males to their knees so that he could chop off their heads into a ditch. The sight and the stench of the blood and the gore, the cries for mercy, the entire picture was a horror that we've seen repeated in modern times over and over. Today's Muslim terrorists are simply imitating this history from Muhammad's life. As with the prior two Jewish clans, Muhammad and his men again increased their wealth from the spoils of the dead.
Then the apostle divided the property, wives, and children of Banu Qurayza among the Muslims.
The apostle sent some of the captive women of Banu Qurayza in the city of Nadaj, and he sold them for horses and weapons. The apostle had chosen one of their women for himself, Rayanama, and she remained with him until she died in his power.
What Would Muhammad Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, "I learned more from What Would Muhammad Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life." Best-selling author Dr. Bill Warner said, "What Would Muhammad Do is the best movie series, TV production on the life of Muhammad and Islamic terrorism that has ever been produced." Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700, or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. Friend, I want to talk to two distinct groups of people: those who can make a contribution and those who need a scholarship. This program takes money, and I'm asking those of you who can make a contribution to help us. But you're not just supporting this show, you're supporting people who want access to this information, and guess what? We give it to them for free. You can get my writings on Islam. You can get my book, A Humble Plea. You can get multiple teaching series on how to do a press conference, how to run for office, how to be a public advocate. Go to our website. We've got shows reaching all the way back to 2010, which are cataloged by topic. So, for those of you who can help us with this broadcast, please make a contribution. The rest of you, go to the website. The stuff is for free. And if you want to call in your contribution, call 304-289-3700. Welcome back, friend. Do you understand now why there will never be peace in the Middle East? Not as long as there are Muslim nations surrounding Israel. Because Muhammad said at the end of time, a rock is going to say, "Hey, there's a Jew hiding behind me. Come and kill him." That's Islam. It's not an aberration. It's not, oh, they've hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam. No, that is Islam. Every person who is watching this needs this DVD set. You need it. As you can see, we don't have time to run the entire episode. So there's things that you missed that are not there. And unless you see all 24 days in a row, you're going to miss other episodes, other key elements of the nature of Islamic terrorism. We must know our enemy. We must understand what we're fighting. We must have the courage to look at it and then to resist it. So we are making this entire series available to everyone who's watching it. 1 set for $35, 2 sets for $60, 4 sets for $100, 10 sets for $200. They get cheaper and cheaper the more you buy so that you can give them away. Set up a booth in the back of your church. But if you cannot afford even 1 set, then you send to us what you can. Okay? Send what you can. Write a note. Go to the address that you see on the screen and say, "Randall, I can't afford it, but here is my gift of blank." You choose. I leave it to your conscience. And we will send you the DVD set for whatever you can afford. What if it's $5, Randall? Send it. We'll lose money, but you have to promise that you will watch it and that you will give it to your pastor when you're done. And this is a matter of honor, people, all right?
I can't police you. You get to be honest and you get to follow through. But we'll do it because we love God and we love our country. We love you. We love the truth. God bless you.